One of the things that I have found rather amusing, shall we say, is that the foreign translations of my books have done much, much better than the English versions. I always thought that the English versions would be the ones that would sell the most, the ones that would be the most popular. But in actual fact, it's the German versions that are the most popular. I think it's partly to do with the fact that my book is set in Germany, so perhaps it appeals more to German readers. It's also to do with the fact that Germany is the second largest ebook market in the world. But I find it very, very funny that the German sales are about 90% of all my sales. Even in Kindle Unlimited, German sales are just powering ahead. You know, I make hundreds and hundreds of euros every month in German sales, and this is absolutely insane. And I'm doing barely no advertising either at the moment, anyway. So I think it's extremely important that when you have the money, that you get your books translated as quickly as possible, because obviously there's more than just English in the world. As I said, German is the second largest ebook market in the world. Then you've got Spanish. You know, with Spanish, you've got Spain, obviously. You've got Mexico. A few other places, and my mind's just gone completely blank. Portuguese, which covers Brazil, Portugal, for example. French, France, Quebec and Canada. And obviously with Spanish, you've obviously got the United States as well, with all the Spanish, Mexican people living there too. So you've really got to get your books translated as quickly as possible. I would start with German and then go to Spanish. Getting a translator, though, is the hardest part, because first of all, you've got to get somebody affordable. That person has to be good at their job, because it's not just a simple case of literally translating it word for word. That's not going to work. You need somebody who is going to be able to translate it and still keep the atmosphere of your story, the tension in your story, the excitement in your story. If they just literally translate it word for word, they'll end up killing the whole momentum of the story. And people will be looking at something and thinking, was this translated with Google Translate or something? And then you lose readers. So you've got to have somebody that understands how to translate a book, but at the same time keep all of the elements that make the book exciting to read. Once you find your translator, well, that's great. You know, just hold on to them, because along with a cover designer, a translator is the best friend you will ever have. Really. I mean, I'm lucky in that my German translator is also one of my best friends. Mirko Schieder is his name, by the way. If you ever want to hire him, let me know. I'll put you in touch. Yeah. So get your books translated, get the titles translated. And this brings me to another thing. You can't always literally translate the titles from the way they are in English, because in the target language, say German, Spanish, whatever, it doesn't necessarily make sense the way that it would in English. Because obviously in these other languages, they've got their own idioms and their own ways of saying things. And what you say in English may not necessarily be what they would say in German or in Spanish or in French. So you've got to find a title in that language that is going to work and is going to make people understand what the book is about. Another thing about Germany is that you cannot have a title that has already been used. Now, in English, you can't copyright a title. So I can have A Tale of Two Cities for my next book, or I could have Les Miserables for my next book. But in German, you cannot use the same title. So you have to try and change it a little bit. Now, one way to do this is to give the book a subtitle. So, for example, my first book, The Renegade Spy, in German it's called Staatsfeind, which means enemy of the state. Now, obviously, enemy of the state has been used before. So what I did was I added a subtitle underneath the main title. And that subtitle makes it a new title. So my German book is called Staatsfeind Kampf ohne Regeln. Enemy of the State, War Without Rules. New title. Obviously, you've got to make sure that nobody else is taking your subtitle as well. That would be pretty bad. So, yeah, when you're doing your titles, make sure when you're doing the German version not to use a title that somebody else has already used, because that will land you in court, because the person who originally got that title will sue you for copyright infringement. It's crazy, I know, but that's just the way the law is, and there's nothing we can do about it.